Even though the 2023 NFL Draft has come and gone and star running back Dalvin Cook is still on the rooster, there have been some speculation that Dalvin would have been on the move during the draft as the Vikings could get back some draft picks, but it didn't happen. Whether the Vikings weren't interested at the time, even though reportedly they were listening, or they didn't get the offer that they were looking for, which is more likely in this spot. And the Vikings, they still drafted Dwayne McBride in the 7th round, and I understand it's a 7th round pick, but it's pretty significant for a running back the way that the position is valued. So McBride and Alexander Madison, as well as Kinkenny and Ty Chandler, that's a nice battery of running backs if the Vikings do move on from Dalvin Cook. And I think that it's still pretty likely that Dalvin is gone. He's due a $10.4 million base salary. $2 million of it is guaranteed. But if they do trade him post June 1st, they would free up $11 million in cap space in 2023, take a little extra debt in 2024. And even if it came down to it, I think that they would cut him because it's only $2 million of his $10.4 that is fully guaranteed. The Vikings would still save $9 million if he's a post June 1st cut. So I think that is still on the table. But the Vikings also I love that this graphics from Tankathon. I love that they already rolled over to the 24 draft because draft never sleeps, babe. But the Vikings certainly could look to add some additional draft picks for 2024. And I don't know, like teams are obviously a little bit more willing to part with future draft picks as opposed to in the heat of the 2023 draft that probably weren't. So I think the Vikings could maybe get some value out of Dalvin, although they're probably just waiting for the Vikings to cut him. But we still have 8 draft picks. 8 draft picks would be nice, but 8 trade destinations for Dalvin Cook even after the draft. Number 1, still the Dolphins. I understand, but the Dolphins took Devin Akane in the mid rounds. Fully understand that, but stylistically, Dalvin and Akane, not the same guy. And yes, they re-signed Raheem Mostert. Yes, they re-signed Jeff Wilson. Would Dalvin be the best running back in this room day one? Yes. Absolutely, he would. So I think that Mike McDaniel, his offensive scheme, similar to Shanahan, similar to what the Vikings do with a lot of outside zone. That's been Dalvin's forte. Plus, never sleep on, hey, that guy played well against the scouting. Dalvin busting that 53-yarder down in South Beach last year. So I think that the Dolphins could still be in play. Next up, number 2, the Denver Broncos, So the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton wants to run the ball because the alternative is having Russ cook. No. So bringing in an actual chef in Dalvin Cook would make some sense here, where Javonte Williams at ACL, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's been some questions about the rehab there. They brought in Samaje Perine as a free agent. They brought in Tony Jones, who's former Sean Payton guy from the Saints, but he's not scaring anyone. They didn't invest any draft capital, as well as Jumpin' George Payton was assistant to the regional general manager of the Vikings when they drafted Dalvin Cook in 2017. So that could be a landing spot for number 4. Next up, the New England Patriots. So obviously Bill Belichick likes to run the ball because he likes an old school throwback. Plus, the alternative, Mac Jones thrown. Now they do have Ramondre Stevenson, who was solid, the pride of Oklahoma. James Robinson they picked up for a song as well. J.J. Taylor, Dynamite, more of a scat back though. So and Tymont's a wide receiver, man. But it would make sense where Belichick has always had this tendency of bringing in older name players to play out the final couple years of their career. And then Dalvin would be no different in this spot. Next up, trade destination number 4 for Dalvin Cook, the Browns. So yes, I understand that the Browns have Nick Chubb, but also they let go of Kareem Hunt, and Stefanski has been liking running the football. And of course, Stefanski knows Dalvin from his time here in Minnesota. Dalvin had a 1,000-yard season under the tutelage under the offense of Kevin Stefanski back in the day. So a lot of similar concepts, a lot of outside zone, a little bit more gap in the Browns' offensive scheme versus Dalvin's time here in Minnesota, but it is what it is. And I think that a chubby cook. Actually, I'll never trust a skinny chef. Always trust a chubby cook. So there you go. That would make sense in this regard here. I mean, Demetric Felton, I like a lot. The former pride of UCLA, Jerome Ford, former Cincinnati Bearcat, John Kelly, sure, but next up, trade destination number 5 for Dalvin Cook, the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this is if they move Eckler, or hell, even if they don't move Eckler, and even though they're going to be a pass-first offense with Justin Herbert, just having that that dimension in the run game where you'd have a combination of Eckler and Dalvin could make some sense in this spot. They didn't spend any draft capital on running back. Joshua Kelly is now their de facto RB2, so that could use some freshening up out in the City Angels. Plus, I'm sure that Eric Kendricks would put in a nice word for Dalvin. Trade destination number 6. Yes, the Cricket Chicago Bears. Now, Kwesi's not afraid to trade in division, and yes, I'm sure Dalvin would have a big-time game as a revenge motif, twice a year for however long he plays in Chicago. But, I mean, the Bears, they want to run the football because, again, the alternative is having Justin Fields throw or run the ball. Also, how it opens up is that if you have a mobile quarterback, your running back just always has a little bit more opportunity because usually a couple players are frozen, especially when you're running a read option, especially when the running back, the quarterback has the option to run. That just frees up more lanes. It's just kind of weird how that happens. But they did draft Rashawn Johnson, who I think is going to be their starting running back. Donta Foreman had a nice comeback season last year. Got a little bit of cheddar here. They still have Khalil Herbert as well as Travis Homer, formerly of the U, as well as Kari Blasingame, former Vikings legend. Woo, that's right, man. But right now, Dalvin in this running back room would be the best. He absolutely would. And Kwesi and Poles could finally make a deal. And then he complete the trifecta of making trades in the division. Next up, trade destination number 7 for Dalvin post-draft, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they got rid of playoff Lenny. And, I mean, what are you excited about here? Like Rashad White, Deshaun Vaughn, Sean Tucker, the rookie? Is that what you're doing? Chase Edmonds? No. Like, again, what are the options here? Having Baker Cook? No. I mean, Dalvin in this spot obviously would be the best running back in the on the team, as well as, even though it's not Miami, it's still being back in the great state of Florida, back in his home state, so could be appealing to him. Lastly, trade destination number 8, the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Rams may be tanking. Legitimately tanking, but Cam Akers, the guy who replaced him at Florida State, ironically, I mean, he's running back 1 right now. Zach Evans was a 6th-round pick out of Ole Miss, but other than that, I mean, there's really nothing there. And if Sean McVay wants to, put on a brave face and actually make a go of it this year, I mean, Dalvin would make sense here. A lot of outside zone. Of course, Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay, they go way back like chiroprac. So Dalvin will be able to hit the ground running in this offense if it came to that. But I don't know. Like I said, I think there's still a couple options on the table. I think it's very unlikely that Dalvin is back. I think the Vikings definitely sutured up that running back position. I think that they're prepared for life without him. And at minimum, they'll approach him about a pay cut. I don't know if he'll be down for that. So the Vikings may end up cutting him. But ideally, sending him to a team that wants him, as well as absorbing that contract, taking off the Vikings books, and potentially picking up a mid-round draft pick. That would be a huge win for the Vikings at this stage. But your thoughts are thoughts. 8, Ocho, post-draft, Dalvin Cook trade destinations. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.